On this research vessel, operated by the nonprofit group OSearch, workers take part in the adrenaline-pumping task of researching sharks around the world. In order to fund part of his venture, founder Chris Fisher turned to an unlikely source.
On my 40th birthday, I had a boys' trip on the ship down in Costa Rica, and it was the beginning of this mission. Trip was like, how can I help?
As we were drinking bourbon, we watched the bourbon slosh back and forth in the bottle. So I had an idea, let's put the barrels on your ship. Chris didn't think that was such a good idea at the beginning, but the more he drank, the more he thought.
Said, let's make ocean bourbon. And let's try to make business, do good, and have fun. We're both Kentucky boys. It's like the climactic trifecta, right? If you can pull off making business, having fun, and doing good, what a ride. It's way better than just making money.
Originally, we put 5 barrels here on the ship. The ship took off for 3.5 years. I didn't know what to expect at all. We tapped into them. The juice that came out, different than any bourbon I'd ever had. Today, what we do is we take 8-year-old bourbon that's distilled and aged in Kentucky, and we put it on ships. It goes to 30 different ports on 5 different continents, crosses the equator 4 times. We've got 180 barrels on the ocean at all times. So I am looking back at history to kind of push what bourbon can be. My dad is a bourbon historian and has kind of written a book on bourbon in Kentucky. My 8th-generation grandmother was arrested in 1799 for moonshining and bootlegging. She's the first woman accredited to being in the American whiskey business. I'm trying to stay true to the tradition of what bourbon is. Originally, when bourbon was brought from Kentucky to the populace of America, it went through the Ohio River to the Mississippi River to New Orleans, where it was either offloaded and served there or put on ships and sailed around the Straits of Florida, up the East Coast, back to where the population of the United States was. And it was that journey that transformed the bourbon significantly. And in my mind, that's why bourbon blew up in Kentucky. It's not the water or the climate that's there, it's the journey that it took originally. I didn't realize exactly what was going to happen at first when we put it on here. It's forcing the maturation process to happen. It picks up the color from the wood. It picks up all those flavors that you're going to get out of the wood. Salt air is breathed in by the barrel, so you get a salty taste to it. And then when it's out into really hot weather, so when we cross the equator, the sugars inside the wood caramelize. Some people say it tastes like salted caramel popcorn. Chris has a very unique model here. He's not looking for universities to give him grants. He's having companies help sponsor the work that he's doing. So we're able to do good together and make a profit together. Bourbon and sharks, they go together.